These are the angel families that we love, that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored, and I've seen it. When I first got involved with the angel families, I had a meeting. It was so sad. And they got up and spoke, and the media literally just turned off the cameras. They didn't want to hear them. That was my first glimpse as to what was happening. These are sick people that cover stories like that, or that don't cover them, which is worse.
Or that don't cover them, which is worse. President Trump today at the White House honoring angel families, the surviving family members of Americans murdered, very often raped and murdered by illegal aliens that the Democrats invited into the country. Because there's something wrong with their brains. They're culturally screwed up, civilizationally screwed up. They're mental. Maybe it's the Epstein files. Michael, you think all of this mental illness might have something to do with the Epstein files? I've got a couple of sound bites for you of Dan Bongino, now former deputy director at the FBI, former Secret Service agent on presidential security details, and for 3 different presidents of the United States, before going into talk radio and then to the FBI as deputy director under President Trump for a period of time, and now back to his regular civilian life. But I've got a couple of audio bites, sound bites that I want to share with you. There are a couple of others that I played, I think, at hour number 1 back there. But here's a news story from Breitbart, because another Democrat was shot and killed by another suicide attack by another suicidal, murderous Democrat. Austin Tucker Martin, 21 years old when he was shot and killed over the weekend at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. And he, out of Cameron, North Carolina, armed with a shotgun, and came to Mar-a-Lago with a can of gas, which might suggest that he was planning on torching Mar-a-Lago, or maybe drenching himself and setting himself on fire with a nice Zippo lighter, a nice American-made Zippo lighter. Really good lighters, much better than Bic lighters. Bics are convenient, but the Zippo lighter, that's the lighter of a lifetime, isn't it? But this is crazy. Here's one of the headlines from Breitbart. Trump security still at risk. I think that's clear. Austin Tucker Martin, 21, of Cameron, North Carolina, armed man who was shot and killed after breaching Mar-a-Lago's security perimeter, had been reported missing by his family, and you might have known that already. But here's the New York Post headline: the would-be assassin there in Florida, the latest Democrat would-be assassin, Austin Tucker Martin, 21 years old, now deceased. He'll never be 22. Here's the headline: Martin obsessed with Epstein files. Wait a minute, the Epstein files? And this is a New York Post story, Austin Tucker Martin, gunman shot dead by Secret Service at Mar-a-Lago, was obsessed with Epstein files. Now, I could play you audio sound bites all day long. Now, what I was wondering when I saw this, and Michael can tell you this, as soon as we started trading texts on this over the weekend, I said, well, was he transgender? Is he a cross-dresser? Is he, a Democrat flouncy boy? Remarkable stuff that these people have unleashed, the Democrat Party has. But the armed madman who was shot and killed by the Secret Service and, I believe, a county sheriff, deputy sheriff, after he snuck onto President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate Sunday, was reportedly obsessed with the Jeffrey Epstein files. That indicates a lot of MS-13, NBC, DNC watching there, and implored others to raise awareness just days before the deadly encounter. Austin Tucker Martin, 21 years. Now, who incites this? Epstein files. Well, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and all the Democrats. And it turns out they're all in the Epstein files. They're the sexual deviants and all these things. But Austin Tucker Martin, 21, gunned down by local Florida police and members of the Secret Service after he brandished his shotgun in a shooting position on Trump's property, authorities said. He was reported missing by his family after he vanished Saturday. That's pretty recently, I think, since he was just shot and killed at 1:30 a.m. Sunday morning, just after midnight Saturday night. Reported him vanished that he had vanished on Saturday. His mother, Melissa Martin, it's Melissa Martin, isn't that fascinating then? That, has got a last name that is very similar to his, but never mind that. Democrats these days, everybody in the family has a different last name. That's one of their trademark features. So his mother, Melissa Martin, made a missing person poster for him describing the silver Volkswagen he was likely driving. He was likely driving that. Doesn't matter anymore. They found him. Bizarre text messages that Martin swapped with a co-worker on February 15th, just one day before he apparently embarked on a one-way trip to Florida, were obtained by TMZ. Martin, seemingly unprompted, shared his thoughts on the Epstein files with his co-worker. And he wrote, I don't know if you read up on the Epstein files, but evil is real and unmistakable. Yeah, it's true, and everybody's a Democrat. But the Democrats have tried to turn this, Epstein files. Jeffrey Epstein, a lifelong Democrat, sponsoring, funding Democrat political campaigns his entire lifetime. All of his friends are Democrats. Donald Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago back when Donald Trump was presumed to be a Democrat. The news media loved Donald Trump until he said, did I mention I'm a Republican? And that's when everything really went south. But said, I don't know if you read up on the Epstein files, but evil is real and unmistakable, he wrote. The best people like you and I can do is use what little influence we have. Tell other people about what you hear about the Epstein files and what the government is doing about it. Raise awareness. He wants to raise awareness, and that's what he wanted to do, so that's good. His co-worker never replied to the text. Sounds like a good move on his part. On Sunday morning, before Tucker's death was announced, the co-worker texted, hey, where you at? He said, hey, where you at? And, then we get a funeral notice soon for him. So the messages were sent into a secure RCS chat with the co-worker. Tucker worked at the Pine Needles Lodge and Golf Club in North Carolina. Sounds very nice. Just 15 miles from his hometown of Cameron, where he still lived with his parents, 21 years old, still living with his parents. Sources told TMZ. Other colleagues told the outlet that Martin was deeply disturbed by what he believed was a concerted government campaign to cover up the Epstein files so elites could continue getting away with it. That's what he said. They're going to continue getting away with it. And that's the thing. Well, and note that the Democrats have been pounding the table forever. You give them 3 million documents, and all they did was release a fake photograph, and it was a completely fake photograph. Well, it was a real photograph of President Trump at Mar-a-Lago decades ago with the Tropicana suntan lotion models who were there for a public relations event. And they said, hey, there's Donald Trump. He owns Mar-a-Lago. He's famous. He's on TV long before he was in politics. And they said, hey, Mr. Trump, will you take a picture with us? And 6 women are all in their mid-20s and not underage girls. They said, Donald Trump was such a gentleman. It was just wonderful and wonderful, wonderful. So we got that going. But, yes, sir. Martin's cousin, the would-be assassin, gunned down at Mar-a-Lago very early yesterday morning. 19-year-old Braden Fields told the Associated Press that a majority of his family backed Trump. But then you get one, I'm just wondering if he's transgender, because so many of them are these days, or on the LGBTQ spectrum, because, there's a lot of violence, political violence taking place over there. But Martin's cousin, the 19-year-old Braden Fields, told the AP, the Associated Press, the majority of the Lunatics family are actually Trump supporters. That was the case for another, which one was it? Oh, it was Luigi Mangione. From Maryland. Apparently a very nice family, a very squared-away family. And Luigi, he's a no good. His brain, she's a no good. So we got that. Yes. And he got the cousin, 19-year-old cousin, Braden Fields, said that his cousin, the would-be assassin, that he's kind of a quiet guy. Yeah, so is Lee Harvey Oswald. Kind of a quiet guy, he said. He wouldn't even hurt an ant. Well, that's obviously untrue at this point. He doesn't even know how to use a gun. Well, he stopped and got one along the way. Authorities haven't revealed a motive for the potential thwarted attack on President Trump. Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were actually at the White House at the time and not at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, but every day is an IQ test. An investigation is ongoing. Authorities have urged nearby residents in South Florida to check their security cameras for any footage that may show Martin. I think that's probably a good idea. A lot of the neighborhood President Trump is not really a Section 8 housing neighborhood. It's an expensive neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood. Mostly good people live there. Mostly not Democrats. A lot less violence when there aren't Democrats around. Isn't that true? Isn't it, Michael? Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true. So we got that. Oh, now, and I mentioned that since we're talking about the President Trump in the crosshairs once again because Democrats, we do have a couple of sound bites, 3 sound bites, in fact, to be completely accurate, of Dan Bongino, now former deputy director at FBI, and importantly, a former Secret Service agent on Presidential Protective Division. And I have a baseball cap from back in the Reagan days in California, U.S. Secret Service hack. Ranch detail, it says ranch detail on it. You know, the Reagan Ranch in Santa Barbara. U.S. Secret Service with the badge on it. Ranch detail. What does it say? WPD, Western Protective Division, I believe is the D code for that. Isn't that great? But it's crazy. So we got another one. And actually, let's go to Laura Trump, because the great and wonderful Laura Trump is, and I don't say that just because I'm going to be on her podcast soon, but Laura Trump, wonderful person, talking about, hey, Laura Trump, looks like another guy was gunned down who wanted to murder your father-in-law, Donald John Trump, President of the United States. Here's Laura Trump.
You know, I would like to say I'm surprised by this, but sadly I'm not, because this is the 3rd time in 2 years someone has tried to murder my father-in-law, our president of the United States. This stuff isn't okay. It's been deafeningly silent from one side of the political aisle. It took my father-in-law actually being shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, for Biden to come out at the time and say, maybe the rhetoric is a little too hot.
You think maybe the rhetoric is a little too hot? Well, the Democrat Party, they want to be back at Gettysburg again, I think, these people. Dan Bongino, you all know Dan Bongino, and he was asked, hey, we got another guy gunned down, this time at Mar-a-Lago, brought a gun, all ill intent, and again, like the guy at the Capitol last week, another Democrat with a shotgun. The Democrat at the Capitol with the shotgun was told, put your shotgun down and lay out on the asphalt. And he said, okay, and he put his shotgun down and he sprawled out on the side. So he wasn't killed, but, you know, you're a Democrat, you're pretty dumb. Here's Dan Bongino on having, again, been on 3 different presidents' Secret Service protective details. Dan Bongino.
This is the harsh political environment we live in, that this particular president seems to, it just drives a certain segment of the population absolutely nuts to the point of, and the rhetoric doesn't help.
Well, they started out nuts, but this brings out the nuts in them. Honestly, Dan Bongino. Dan, you think maybe the Democrats dialing up the record to crazy all the time might have something to do with it? Dan Bongino.
The constant use and abuse of terms like fascist and Hitler and Nazi and describing this president, why would it surprise you, if it again instills into people this mind virus that this guy has to be taken out? I mean, the threat against this president, I can tell you, having worked for President Clinton, President Bush, and President Obama, and then again, having worked for President Trump in this prior position, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, nobody's ever seen anything like it, honestly. And remember, the Democrats tried to claim it. There's one more, Dan Bongino, but the Democrats tried to claim that Barack Obama was the most frequently threatened president ever because he's black, and you're all racists. It's the Democrat Party, the party of lynching, calling everybody racist. And it was not true. The head of the Secret Service came out under oath and said, no, actually the threat level for Barack Obama is the same as it is for any average presidency. Dan Bongino.
I can just tell you from, again, my experience, I've never seen anything like it. The threat atmosphere against this president is through the roof, and that's why they have to treat Mar-a-Lago like almost like a Southern White House, even when he's not there.
Even when he's not there, honestly. Fortress Mar-a-Lago. Well, we got to take one here, I think. But the Dan Bongino, 3 presidential security details for the Secret Service. Laura Trump, yeah, gee, you think the Democrat Party's rhetoric has something to do with it? It has absolutely everything to do with it. It is 100% all of this on the Democrat Party. All the riots, all the arsons, all the looting, all the burning police cars and overturned police cars, the looted drugstores and everything else that they've stolen. The Democrat Party is a violent criminal mob that goes around shooting people. They shot Donald Trump. They shot Charlie Kirk. They shot Steve Scalise. They shot a CEO on a sidewalk in New York because they're against health care insurance or something like that. It's the Democrat Party, the party of Jefferson Davis. Good to hear Gavin Newsom talking to black people, who says, I'm like you. I can't read, and I did terribly on the Scholastic Aptitude Test, the SAT. And he said that makes him black because, the soft bigotry of low expectations, Democrats being what they are. All right, let's take another phone call, Michael. Let's go to Eduardo, calling from Tampa, Florida. Eduardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hey, buddy, pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I got a comment about what happened over the weekend over the border, and particularly the Puerto Vallarta, and it happened in other towns.
Yes, sir.
And I definitely support that we do, because I know the president had talked previously about doing limited military action. And I think we need to do this. I don't want to get too confident on Mrs. Scheinberg because I think she's too softy on when it comes to dealing with the cartels.
Yeah.
So we need to get in there and do some limited military action. And I think, and I saw Mr. Patel overseas with the hockey team. I think he needs to spend more time with what's going on in Mexico than somewhere else. So.
Well, I tell you what, Eduardo, can I ask you to hang in for a minute? Yeah, because we gotta do a quick thing here, but I'd like to. It sounds like you want to talk about it. I got a question or two for you about the Mexican drug cartel kingpin knocked off and all the violence. All right, and I believe Eduardo hung in there. Well, everybody's running around here. We're talking about what's going on in Mexico. There's a lot of chaos, pandemonium, violence, cartel killings, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on because, according to reports anyway, and in fact, according to the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, said that the United States government, the U.S. intelligence community, provided intelligence support to the Mexican government in order to assist with an operation in Talpalpa, which is in Jalisco, Mexico, in which this drug cartel gang leader, Oseguera Cervantes, was killed. And apparently the U.S. government, working with the Mexican government, targeting the head of this major cartel, which is a dangerous line of work no matter how you slice it. But it's called the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, unleashed a wave of violence across Mexico, setting vehicles ablaze, like Democrats, blocking roads, which Democrats do, and turning the state capital into a ghost town after the army killed its powerful leader, known as El Mencho. The Democrats turned our capital into a ghost town, too. They've done it in cities all over the country, turning into ghost towns, because they set vehicles ablaze and they block roads and intersections, just like it's Minnesota. But the guy, Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, he was the Mexican government's biggest prize yet to show the Trump administration in its effort to crack down on the drug cartels. His death was met with a forceful reaction by his Jalisco New Generation cartel, known by its Spanish initials CJNG. So cars were set on fire by cartel members, blocked roads, nearly a dozen Mexican states, and left smoke billowing into the air. That's bad for the environment. That leads to global warming and climate change. Jalisco's capital, Guadalajara, was turned into a ghost town Sunday night as civilians hunkered down. They hunkered down. Later, authorities announced that they had cleared most of, or more, of the 250 cartel roadblocks across 20 states. Again, this is the stuff of third world countries. And there was a time, not too long ago, when we could kind of scoff at this sort of stuff and roll our eyes because we lived in the United States. But the Democrats are here now, the left is here, and they have brought all of these third world characteristics to the United States, and it's getting worse. And I apologize, Eduardo. Thanks for hanging in there. So, Eduardo, you called in to talk about what's going on south of the border, and this is at the root of it, right, of what we're talking about. And now there's mayhem.
Yeah, you covered a lot.
Yeah,
you covered a lot. I mean, there's people trapped there. They're going to have the FIFA Cup, the soccer tournament in the summer, so the security is in question. This guy was a resident in San Francisco. He married the sister of one of the leaders. He was a cop in Mexico. Can you believe that? Yeah. And so there you go. That's how he rose to promises. He's got children who run-ins with the law. So this guy is not a good character, not including his family. And you got this big bounty, and I'm glad he's dead. But there's also the other gang, the Sinaloa, which the Jalisco, they say, is bigger than the Sinaloa gang. So we need to get rid of both of them.
And Sinaloa was the big dog before Jalisco took over, right?
Right.
Yeah. And we have Ted Kennedy singing about Jalisco. Do you ever hear that, Eduardo?
No, I don't want to hear it. No.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Hopefully
That's
President
good.
Trump.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I would say hopefully, just stand on this, hopefully President Trump is going to put some military troops there, and as far as like a Navy or something, special operations, and we're going to have a hand, we're going to have a say as to how we deal with these cartels, because they're going to cross over the border eventually. Yeah.
Now, are you originally from Mexico?
No, my parents are, but me and my brother were born in Chicago. So,
okay.
But my parents are from Mexico. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and okay. And are you still talking to your parents?
Oh, yeah. Actually, Mom's still around. She's here in Tampa Bay. My father died in the 90s. Yeah, I had no sisters, but yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm sorry for that, but yeah, I just want to talk and about family ties and so on, because that counts, that matters, and yeah, this is the war on drugs. I guess we've been calling it a war on drugs for decades, but there's never really been a war on drugs, because a war on drugs means you take on these cartels, and these cartels are incredibly murderous, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they got a lot of guns. Obviously, because of all the drugs that they get.
Yeah.
So these people are running the fentanyl over the border. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on this, and hopefully you and some of the other brotherhood and sisterhood on the radio will talk about this more in the coming week.
Yeah. I mean, look, these things, they're just, they can be so ruthless and on such a scale. And in fact, we had a great caller. I don't know if you were listening earlier, Eduardo, but we had a great caller named John call in from Maryland, and he talking about how the Obama administration provided thousands of military-grade weapons to the Mexican drug cartels. And what was the name of that operation? They had an operation name
for it. Fast and Furious.
That was Fast and Furious. Very good. Very good. That's right. That was Fast and Furious.
Brian Terry. Remember Brian Terry? He died in this operation.
That's right.
He was a Fed, I think.
That's right. He was, and killed with one of the guns that the Democrats gave to the cartels. You're right.
Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's 100% right. And it was Fast and Furious, and the Democrats Obama and Biden and the Democrats gave Hillary Clinton gave thousands of military-grade weapons to the drug cartels. And then you remember what happened after people asked him, Eduardo. They said, okay, so now you're going to track the weapons and see where they go, right? And what happened, Eduardo?
No, of course not. They lost them.
Yeah, they found trackers. What, we were supposed to put trackers on?
I don't know where they are. Yeah.
Yes, we did our part. We just gave the guns to the cartels so they could be used against civilization, and the Obama people and our crack FBI under Barack Obama, they did not put tracking devices, which, like you have the little Apple things. I don't have any of these, but people have them all over the place. People put them on their dogs and their kids so you can track, your dog and your kids using your phone. And the FBI under Barack Obama failed to put any tracking devices on the thousands of firearms they gave to the cartels. And they're like, oops. And when they got caught, it's no big deal. They just went to lunch.
Yep.
It's
okay, Chris.
Good
Thank
to be
you
a
very
Democrat.
much for your time. Yep.
Yeah, Eduardo, good time. I'm glad you called in because that's something I definitely wanted to get to today. And there is mayhem going on. The U.S. State Department has put out travel warnings and had no travel ban yet for Mexico, but it's close. And they're putting out travel warnings and saying, listen, if you're there, take refuge in your hotel rooms. Don't go out in public, whatever you do, because it is too dangerous out there to be on vacation in Mexico, and you're in Guadalajara or wherever you are. And you're an American, you're a gringo, you're down there, you just want to have warm weather and sandy beaches and nice people and have some nice margaritas and things. But the mayhem down there is, and Democrats will say, oh no, they actually already are, Eduardo and everybody else, they actually already are blaming Trump. They're blaming Trump for the violence there because the Democrats would never confront the drug cartels. They would never confront the matter of tens of thousands, literally, of Americans being killed and poisoned, fatal drug overdoses every year. During the Biden administration, we had more than 100,000 fatal drug overdoses each year. And your Democrat Party, they're not interested in doing anything about any of that because, well, what is it, Michael? Oh yeah, they're not on our side. They're on our side. Thank you, Eduardo, and I will. I'll pay attention to what's going on in Mexico, and you should feel free to check in also, if you'd like. Now let's go to Gavin Newsom, because this guy, he's the Democrat governor of the state of California. Used to be a great state, and then the left took over, but they're very, very unwell. So let's go to Oh, we got that funny guy that called C-SPAN. That's kind of fun, too. And the British fellow. We have that British fellow we haven't gotten to. These people. All right, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, and he's planning on running for president. And if you ask him about it, he'll lie to you. And if you ask him if, a lot of things you could ask him about, he'd lie about, because he's a Democrat, so he's a sexual predator, among other things. But here is Gavin Newsom. He was in Georgia, the state of Georgia, not Soviet Georgia, but American Georgia. And he's on a book tour for a book that he doubtless didn't write. And he's in Georgia, and he's a Democrat. So the Democrats scared up a bunch of people, some of whom are African-American people. They're people of color. They're black. And they're in the great Gavin Newsom book event. And here is Gavin Newsom. This is the textbook, yet another textbook example of the Democrat Party. And it was summed up beautifully years ago. The soft bigotry of low expectations. And here is Gavin Newsom saying to a black audience in Georgia that he's just like the people in the crowd, in that he's not intelligent, he can't read, and he had a low SAT score. He's now claiming that he's dyslexic or something. Really, I think he's just low IQ. But here is Gavin Newsom.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you.
We know that.
I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech, because I cannot read a speech. maybe the wrong business to be in.
No, you're a Democrat, so none of that. He can't read. He's got low IQ. He did poorly on the Scholastic Aptitude Test, which you might take if you're trying to get into a fancy college. But there he is. Gosh, and he says, I'm just like you. Right? Meaning, and he explains, you're not intelligent. You can't read. You do poorly on tests, just like me. I'm a maroon just like you. The New York Post has the story, and the New York Times does not. Gavin Newsom ripped for telling black mayor, I'm like you, before quoting his low SAT score. Liberal racism on display is one of the headlines. California Governor Gavin Newsom has been accused of racism. Imagine that. After citing his underwhelming SAT score during a chat with a black elected official over the weekend. Right. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm not better than you. Yeah, we know that. I'm a 960 SAT guy. See, I can't compete in this realm. Michael, did you took the SATs, right? Do you remember your SAT score? Does everybody remember their SAT score? Michael doesn't remember his SAT score. I'm not surprised by that. I don't know why I'm not surprised by that. I cannot give you my SAT score because I never took the SAT. I never took the SAT, the Scholastic Aptitude Test. I never took the ACT. I never took any of these things. The most dazzling exam I think I ever took academically was my GED exam. That's right, General Equivalence Diploma for high school. That's it's about as involved as I got in all of that. But Gavin Newsom, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, he says, the potential 2028 Democratic presidential contender went on to say, I'm not trying to if like you got a 940, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech, he says. That's why he's just like you. There you go. The average SAT score for blacks or African Americans, who make up 12% of the test takers, is 907 out of a possible 1,600. So the average black score is 907, and he's saying, hey, come on, look at me. I got much better than you, but I'm not very smart. He said I got a 960. I got a 960. I'm a 960 SAT guy. And he's like, see, so I'm not smart. I'm done. But the average black American taking the SAT gets a 907. So there you go. Well done, Gavin Newsom. This is the party of Ashley Wilkes and the 12 Oaks Plantation in Gone with the Wind.
I'm like you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. I cannot read.
I'm like you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. I cannot read. And the New York Post looked into it. SAT score for blacks is about 907. And he's saying, I'm so humble, I only got a 960 out of 1,600. Isn't that great? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Gavin Newsom is a 1989 graduate of Santa Clara University, to which he received a letter of recommendation from two-time California Governor Jerry Brown, left-wing Democrat, who had appointed Gavin Newsom's father to be a Golden State appellate judge. It's all a circle fest in a hot tub. It's the Democrat Party. The current governor, Gavin Newsom, has claimed in his book that the only reason he was admitted to Santa Clara University is because he was offered a partial scholarship to play basketball. Nobody believes that. I don't think it's relevant at all. No, he just, like he said, I'm not smart. I'm done. I only did a 960 on the SATs, and I'm governor of California. But other than that, there's really nothing to recommend. And he says, yeah, like you. And the black mayor sitting there is smiling and being pleasant because they're all Democrats. And it's a Democrat Party thing. Oh. Aren't they amazing? Oh, man, look at the clock. I can't believe it. That is nuts, I tell you. It's his way of bonding with black people. to tell black people how stupid he is and say that he can't read. Nicki Minaj, the songstress Nicki Minaj, making fun of Gavin Newsom, just great. Saying, she's black, of course. She's bonding with black people by saying, I'm dumb and I can't read. I'm stupid and I can't read. See, I'm just like you. Nicki Minaj gets it. Extraordinary stuff. California's a funny place. Just great stuff. Senator Ted Cruz said of Gavin Newsom, the soft bigotry of low expectations. Very good. Liberal racism on display, said Carol Swain. Just great. And they're very casual about it. Like, no, I'm being cool. I'm being a Democrat.
We are not that stupid.
I was born a poor black child.
Ah, yes. What was his name? Navin Johnson? Yeah. That was fun. That's the game that Gavin Newsom is playing in California. He's the jerk. He's Steve Martin in The Jerk. These people, if they're making noise, they're lying. They don't even have to be speaking. Any grunting sound is doubtless dishonest. Speaking of dishonesty, the idiot jihadi communist in New York City that the Democrats elected to be mayor of our most populous city, they're having a snowstorm, and it's pretty big snow in New York City, to be sure, and elsewhere in the Northeast. It's a nor'easter, And Mamdani said, well, we want to hire snow shovelers to give them snow shovels and go out and shovel the sidewalks of New York and stuff. And they said, now, when you come to apply, we'll pay you, because we're the city, it's other people's money. And you got to sign up. You got to sign up for the job, and when you do, you're going to need 2 small photos that are 1 inch to 1.5 square inches, 2 original forms of ID, so a driver's license and maybe your passport, plus your social security card, right? Now, if you said that you got to have all these things to vote on Election Day, they'd call you the KKK and Hitler and Nazi and all that stuff, the Democrat Party. But if you want to shovel snow in New York, you got to have all this stuff. I mean, you could vote in any country in the world with all these things.